Okay, you'll see the sign. Oh yeah, now it's streaming. Okay, hello. How are you, Tom? You see, I get nervous as soon as I start speaking. I just get nervous. How are you, Tom? Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking this interview with Latinoz.
Thank you, Bella. It's great to be here. Nice to talk to you again.
Oh yeah, because it's our second time basically. So it's very nice to talk to you again. And well, welcome to Latino's audience. Basically, we have mainly Spanish speakers at the moment, but we're gonna try to have a second video where I can place the subtitles so everyone can understand. So don't worry, we'll do everything in English. And if there's something I have to clarify, I'll just, maybe pause you a little bit and then I'll go in Spanish. So you don't get to, you don't get to worry about the Spanish. We're not testing.
My Spanish is, I'm working on it, but I think it needs more work.
You told me that you're working on it, but I know what it's like learning a second language. So don't feel any pressure. It's all good. And well, Tom, tell us a little bit about you. Many of our viewers will probably wonder, oh, who's that guy? What is he doing? But you are a representative from TasTAFE. So can you please tell us a little bit about your role and anything you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, sure. So I work for the Tasmanian government in the Department of Education here. And so TasTAFE is the government vocational school here in Tasmania. So my job involves promoting TasTAFE to international students. And specifically, I do a lot of work in Latin America. And so, that's, I guess, what brought us together today. But besides that, we also do Tasmanian government schools as well, because it's in the Tasmanian Education Department. So it's really cool. Yeah. So promoting our school, high schools and vocational courses overseas.
But you're focusing mostly on vet courses, right?
Right now we are, because it's just the situation in the world right now. There's not many high school students who can come and study. But usually we do both. And it's actually kind of 50-50.
Well, hopefully in the future, once we have the borders open again, we get to have a little bit of everything, also higher education, so more people can benefit from education in Tasmania, right?
Yeah, I hope so. One day soon would be great.
Yes. Please, we can't wait for it. I can't wait for it personally, to be honest.
Yeah. Especially in Melbourne. It's difficult for you in Melbourne, but
I know we were just talking about it before we started streaming, and it's been forever, 6 months literally. Since everything started. So I mean, if you take that into account, it's very good that you're here to tell us about Tasmania, because at the moment, many people were just thinking about Melbourne. We have the beautiful city behind, but not many people know a lot about Tasmania. So what about we start talking about what's going on over there, a little bit of the situation. Is it normal? And then we move on to probably talk about the advantages of living in Tasmania, the lifestyle, everything you can share with us.
Yeah, sure. So I guess to get the COVID question out of the way early, right now we don't have any cases of COVID-19 in Tasmania. So everything here is normal, pretty much. The only thing is that we can't have really large events, only kind of small events, and there's some small restrictions like that, but pretty much everything is back to normal, and we're all in the office, my whole team. And
so you can go to bars, restaurants.
Yeah, restaurants, cafes, bars. Yep.
Oh wow. You don't have any sort of restrictions? Do you have to keep your distance between, I don't know, other people eating or having a beer or anything?
There's a certain number of people are allowed in a room together, and things like that, where there's also a rule against dancing, which is, kind of apparently dancing is very risky, and they need to control that. But besides that,
wow.
I don't know. It's one of those weird things. But besides that, everything's pretty much normal. We feel very lucky, because we know that you're only less than 1 hour away in Melbourne, and obviously the situation there's very different. So we feel very lucky here, and we hope that it stays the same. Because
luckily for you, I mean, you are part of an island, but you're another island. You're part of a country that is known as an island, but you are another little island. So basically for you, it's like double safety.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, I think that's really been very helpful for us. It's very easy, I guess, to keep people out when we're an island. But
Yeah.
on December the 1st, our government is planning to open the borders again from Tasmania to all of the other states in Australia. So, I mean, hopefully, because Melbourne is much better now, hopefully that's going to be fine, and I can come up to Melbourne and you can come to Tasmania and everything's going to
Yes,
be good.
please. I really love to be in Tasmania, actually. I've been there just once and it's absolutely beautiful. I didn't have enough time actually to explore it completely. I was there just for 2 days, I think. So I just saw the main things and, just the city, just Hobart, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's actually a lot bigger than people expect. A lot of people, because if you look at the map, like Australia is so big.
Yeah.
And then there's this small island that's kind of near Melbourne, but like, if you're actually here, it's a really big island, and there's a lot to do, there's a lot to see, and it is a very beautiful place. So there's a lot of things that, all over the world, like tourism is one of our big industries. And I think people, sometimes come here for a month or 2 months and they just drive around and see everything.
Beautiful.
So 2 days is not enough, Pally. Yeah. You need to come back.
Yeah, sometimes I see the photos, Instagram and all the websites that show some of the Tasmanian nature, and it's just incredible. I think it has one of the most diverse, probably, ecosystems in Australia. Like you can find a lot of places with lots of bushes and everything. So it's very, very nice and very beautiful. And the weather, it doesn't get too hot, so you can actually have nice road trips. Actually, many people take the ferry. I don't know if it's the ferry, sorry, but is it Spirit of Tasmania, which just it's so big that I can't really call it ferry, but it's like a big ship. Right? It's like a massive, I think you can even take your car in and like travel with your car.
I've done that before, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I would love to do that, to be honest. But you can just cross like quickly from Melbourne to Tasmania and then pick up your car and have a road trip towards Hobart, probably, or just around, like across the island. So it's pretty amazing. It's something unique, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's about, I mean, if you're going to fly, it's like less than 1 hour from Melbourne to fly here, or a bit under 2 hours to fly from Sydney. Or you can get the ferry or the cruise ship that's going to take like probably 4 hours or 5 hours or something like that to go over the water. So we're really not that far away. It's all quite close and connected. And
from Melbourne is pretty good. It's pretty good. And also, I mean, once you get the borders open, I think even if you don't live in Tasmania, like for the rest of your life, it's one of those places that you have to visit because you have amazing things. Now we can actually talk about the amazing things that Tasmania has, because you are from Tasmania, like you were born and raised there. So you can tell us a lot about your hometown, right?
Yeah, for sure. I grew up here, and I did actually move to Sydney, and I lived in Sydney for a few years and then came back kind of a couple of years ago and started doing this, what I do now. It's really cool. I think really, like, culturally, things are pretty similar everywhere you go in Australia. I think some of the really big cities like Sydney and Melbourne, maybe they're like, because there's more people from all over the world there. So I guess it's less like distinctively Australian, but just different and awesome in its own way. But pretty much everywhere in Australia, like the culture is pretty similar. So if you go to like Darwin, which is hours away on a plane from here, the people are actually kind of the same as us. Like there's not that much difference.
Same language.
Same language, yeah. I mean,
there's a little bit of a difference in the accent, right? Like I can tell that there's something.
Yeah, I mean, we all use too much slang, and we all, everyone's a bit crazy. But like, I mean, it's pretty much like very similar culturally, I would say, to most of the country. But yeah, like you mentioned, our natural environment, like we have a very diverse like nature here, because obviously a lot of coastline being an island, so good beaches and things like that. We also have like some of the tallest mountains in Australia as well. Because we're kind of far south, in the winter we get a bit of snow only really in the mountains, but you can go in like 20 minutes from the city centre in Hobart and go up into the snow and then come back, and it's all it's a cool thing to be able to do when you're living in the city. So
you have these ski resorts and you can just go and take some lessons and.
There are a couple of ski resorts. We don't actually have too much skiing because our mountains aren't that big. Like you can do more skiing, I think, in New South Wales, like near Canberra, you can do some skiing there.
Yeah, I think it's Mount Bulair and Mount Hotham. I think I've never been to, so I'm not a fan of cold weather, so I'm trying to put it off a little bit.
I mean, there's other things you can try.
That's why Tasmania is pretty cool, because it doesn't get too cold,
Yeah, and I mean, some people ask me, like, is it super cold here, like Canada or something like that, or Antarctica? But no, it's very similar to Melbourne.
Yeah, it doesn't get that bad.
So actually throughout the year, like all around the year, it's usually 2 degrees different to Melbourne. So
just 2. It's
pretty much the same thing. But I mean, Melbourne is cold too sometimes, so
Oh yeah, especially like today, where it's spring and you can't really see it. It's not happening yet. So, I mean, I think it's gonna happen until October. I think in October we start seeing some sunny days and it's more often. But yeah, at the moment it's just like still winter. So
I mean, we're lucky. It's Friday, obviously today, and the weekend's looking really good here. And I'm doing a wine tour with some friends, so it's going to be.
Also, yes, you also have amazing wine over there in Tasmania, so that's another thing people can experience.
It's something that we are actually kind of famous for. But I don't know, wine is not personally like a passion
like your favorite,
but I'm happy to go on a wine tour and
why not? Yeah, of course. Like, sounds fun anyway, so you can do that. And also, well, how about the lifestyle? Because I know that you probably, for you say, oh well, pretty much the same in Australia, but once I got there, I could see that it's actually a quiet city. Like, it's not like noisy and busy like probably Sydney or Melbourne, but that doesn't mean that it's boring. So what can you tell us about like the lifestyle? It's like there are not many people as well. Like, it's quite a small city.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you kind of asked, because like comparatively, Hobart, which is our capital city where I am now, is a lot smaller than like some other cities. I think the population is about 260,000 people. So it sounds small compared to, millions and millions in Melbourne, for example. But like when people come here, they're always surprised how kind of modern it is. And we still have everything that you need in a modern city. Like, there's the nightlife, there's the culture and the restaurants and the museums and the cafes and like everything that you want to do, you can still do this here. But I guess the benefit of having less people is it's cheaper. It's a lot less busy and stressful. And I guess just generally the lifestyle is a lot kind of easier. And, people have a bit more time and tend to be a bit nicer to each other. I'm thinking of my experience living in Sydney, which is much bigger, obviously. People there are cool,
everyone's in the rush.
Everybody's in a rush all the time. It can be kind of stressful, and I think down here people are a bit more relaxed, but that doesn't mean that it's like boring. It means like we're just have a bit more time, I suppose.
Because many people actually have asked me, oh, is it boring over there? And I'm like, well, it depends what you think of being boring, because being quiet doesn't necessarily mean being boring. For example, I went to the museum, the MoMA. Is it MoMA? I forgot. MoMA. There are so many. The MoMA. Yeah. So sorry, I forgot. But I promise I was there. It was incredible. I mean, it's such an experience. It's one of the most unique museums that I've been to, probably. Yeah. With very unexpected things that I saw. So I actually think that Hobart it's a very cool city, even though it has a more relaxed vibe. It's still very cool.
Yeah, and like usually, I mean, right now tourism is not a very big thing in the middle of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, of course.
But usually tourism is a really big thing in Tasmania. Like, a lot of people come here from all over the world. So we have a lot of events that are kind of happening all the time. And that's like, obviously for locals, but, tourists like that too. And that's kind of, so because there's more people coming here all the time than actually just live here. it means we have more events than you would expect, and more going on than you would maybe expect in a small city. So I think you get kind of the best of both worlds. But for me, like the big difference, like again, thinking of my experience living in Sydney, is like Sydney's an awesome city. Like it's really cool. Like there's so much to do. But at the same time, it's actually very difficult to get out of Sydney. It's so big, you know, like it takes an hour or 2 hours to go out. It
the commutes are crazy. Traffic.
But here, for example, you can be up a mountain in 20 minutes if you start driving from the center of Hobart, or you can be at the beach, or like in a forest somewhere. Like there's all of these national parks around, you know, where people go, like, you know, hiking or, you know, mountain bike riding, things like that, which is something I do a lot of personally. But yeah, I mean, all of these things that, I think people here are more maybe connected to nature in a way, because it's easy to get, you know, to go and visit these places, whereas it's quite difficult in a larger city. Yeah,
even in Melbourne, like, I mean, we also have a very good area to go and explore and do some hiking and everything, but it still gets a bit busy to get there because the traffic, especially in my case, I've seen that it has increased in the last years, so I can see the difference, and it just gets busier. Yeah, definitely. And now in terms of international students, because, you know, most of them always hear about Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and now a little bit about Adelaide and Perth. But in regards to Hobart, what are the benefits for them to study in Tasmania?
Yeah, there's lots. I think I can understand why the first thing a lot of students think of is when they think Australia, they probably think Melbourne, Sydney, maybe Brisbane as their first kind of choices that they're thinking of.
Yeah.
And I understand that, because if I think of Mexico, for example, I probably think of Mexico City first, but I know that there is other cities that are, you know, really cool. I just don't know enough about them yet to, you know, to really understand. So you have to do a bit of research, you have to learn and get some good advice from somebody like you. But I think the benefits of someone coming here instead is like, obviously like the cost. So Sydney and Melbourne are really expensive. And so on a student budget, that's going to be a big factor, I think.
Yeah, of course.
So I mean, living here, things like your rent will be cheaper. Like going out for eating or drinking or whatever will probably be cheaper as well. Pretty much most of the things you do will be a little bit cheaper, and your tuition as well. But at the same time, the minimum wage for working here is the same as it is in Melbourne, or the same as Sydney. So you can earn the same amount of money if you're working like part-time as a hospitality job or something like that while you're studying. You'll earn the same amount of money here as you would in Melbourne, but your costs are lower. So your
expenses will be fewer, like in that sense, because you won't be paying so many things, or probably like you could save in transport, you could save in your rent as well, and definitely that helps. But also one of the advantages that I can see, I don't know, you have to tell me if I'm correct, but one of the things that I can see is that also it's a very how can I say, there are not many international students compared to Melbourne yet.
Yeah.
So that's also a very good opportunity for those who want to go there to actually probably become more familiar with the culture, speak to more natives, like get a little bit of more involved in the Australian lifestyle, probably. Because in Melbourne, of course, you can do it, but being probably the main city for international education, of course, your closer cycle probably becomes part of the international community. So in that sense, I think Tasmania offers that compared to Sydney to Melbourne as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you're exactly right, because the majority of our students here, and so I think it's 97 or 98% of the students at TasTAFE are local students. So in the classroom, it's really going to be that sort of, you know, English speaking environment where you're really mingling with local students, that type of thing. But also, like the population here in Hobart is mostly people like me, like Australian people. But in a place like Melbourne, for example, obviously there's so many students from all over the world, you know, business people who come from all over the world as well to live there. So it's less, I guess it's less,
it's not as easy, I would say.
It's just not exactly what most of Australia is like. I mean, like Sydney and
Yeah.
Melbourne, for example, in the center of those cities, they're really exciting. There's a lot going on, but it doesn't actually look that similar to the rest of Australia, really. But I think here you will get that authentic Australian experience, but also it's a really good environment to develop your English skills. Yeah, so like many of our students come to study English here and then choose to go and study something else in Melbourne or somewhere or in another place, because this is a good place to come. You can live here like more cheaply, I guess, while you're learning. You can study English in an environment that's, you know, going to be really helpful for you to learn. And then you can go and do the university or the other course or, you know, whatever it is somewhere else. So that's something that we see a lot of people doing. And then a lot of people just choose to stay here as well.
Exactly. Because also I was going to go towards that actually, because many people ask about the chances to get a permanent residency in Tasmania. By the way, I can't give advice about that, guys. By the way, just just a little bit, like just to get a general how I say, like a general picture of what's going on with the immigration in Australia. Right now, Tasmania is one of the states that are getting a lot of, how can you say, like a lot of immigrants. Yeah, like it's trying to be promoted as one of the destinations that you can choose, so you can develop yourself there, you can work there, you can live there. So they're giving a lot of chances for immigrants like me, so we can go and move to Tasmania, for example, right?
Yeah, for sure. And so I guess I should say now that kind of like you, I'm not actually allowed to talk, like to give migration advice, for example.
Exactly. We're not giving any advice.
Yeah, but I can definitely talk generally about this, because like a lot of the international students who come and study, you know, with us at TasTAFE or maybe at a university here or something like that, their plan is to stay, and they want to live here, they want to work. And Tasmania is one of the parts of Australia that's really like accommodating to that. So the different, for your listeners who maybe don't know everything about this, the different states in Australia have different rules about, you know, migration and
how you can get the PR,
things like that. So in some cities, like in Melbourne, for example, it's difficult to permanently like settle or to get a long-term visa, and much easier in some other parts of Australia. And Tasmania is one of the places that people choose.
I reckon the government is trying to balance a little bit the numbers, because it's getting a little bit tougher in cities like Melbourne, Sydney, because of course, naturally, and I don't know, throughout the time, many people just consider Melbourne, Sydney among their choices or between their choices. But at the moment, I think the government is making an effort to push people to choose other destinations, and in that way they can also kind of balance the numbers out of, you know, like the population in the country as well. So I think it's something smart, by the way. Like I think it's good.
I think it makes sense, because like I think I can't remember how much it was exactly, but like the population of Sydney and the population of Melbourne were just growing so quickly, and the city couldn't really keep up with, you know, building the new services and facilities and, you know, public transport, all everything. That, like, it takes years to build that, but so many people are coming right now. So so I suppose it is a way for the country to sort of be able to cope better with how many people are coming here. But I actually think there's more. I mean, like one of the questions I get all the time from students is like, can I get a job here? Like, it's a smaller place. Does that mean there's less opportunity? And the answer is no. Like, you can get a job here for sure. It's like,
it's on you. It's up to you, basically.
But like, obviously in Melbourne, for example, it's a bigger place. There's going to be more jobs advertised, but there's also so many people, so many students there, for example, all trying to get the jobs at the same time. So yes,
it's more competitive in that sense
as well. And but a place like Tasmania, you have less competition. So even though maybe less jobs
fewer
online, it's like your chances are actually maybe even better. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, if you think about it, that totally makes sense, because it's one of the problems, especially right now with the pandemic. Many students are fighting over, you know, the same positions, and there are heaps of people trying to get a job. So that probably you know, it takes a toll on the people that actually gets to get it. So in that sense, if you are in Tasmania, of course, there will be people fighting for jobs, but not as many. Like, of course, it's not like
it's
like we were talking the other day about it, and like, I don't know, some students sometimes believe that as soon as you land and you get off the plane and everyone's like, oh, do you want a job? No, it's not like that. You still have to like like make an effort to get it. Like,
there's a lot of young people in Australia who want jobs right now. It's
exactly like just locals.
Well, locals and students who come from all over the world and want those jobs while they're studying. And I think the majority of international students do go to Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane, and so there's more competition there. So it's going to be, it's one of those things where like a smaller place doesn't necessarily mean less opportunity. I think if a student like thinks about what they want to study and then looks at which destinations kind of have opportunities for those people, I think that's the most sensible way to look at it. Because I mean, there's a lot of jobs here in certain areas. For example, like engineering, there's a lot of jobs, hospitality and tourism and cookery and things like that. We have a lot of positions being advertised because we don't have enough local people doing these jobs. IT is another one, healthcare. So
healthcare, of course.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, like engineering is a really big one for us right now because we're like
I think construction, right? Construction was one of the big ones.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yep. So engineering and construction kind of together, like a big area of growth, because like the population here is growing pretty quickly, and the state government in Tasmania has a plan to keep growing the population for the next 30 years, every single year increasing. So that means there's going to be more houses, more apartments, more businesses, like everything will just need to be built. And then also like, there's new hotels being built for the tourism that normally happens. Like there's 22 hotels being built in Hobart right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so these sort of things. So, and then when they open, they need staff as well. So it's like this cycle of things happening. So
as long as the city grows, like they will need people to meet those needs. Like they will probably more and more people, because it's one of the main destinations, I think, for the government. It's targeted as one of the ones that have to be developed over the years, right? And now moving on to professions and studies and all these sort of things. Actually, I wanted to ask you, and I have one question from the audience about TAFE. Like, what is TAFE? What's a TAFE?
Yeah, for sure. So this is an Australian thing. So I understand if it's like, we wouldn't expect you to know this from Mexico or wherever your student is, but basically, like if you think of university as being all theoretical, you're learning just theoretical knowledge at university. TAFE combines the theory with practical skills. So you're actually doing things, like actually physically learning how to do things, and you're learning the theory as well. So it's like half theory, half practical.
And in that sense, because there are many schools offering these kind of courses that are actually called VET courses, like vocational courses. So I think for us in Latin America, we have something similar. We call them technical careers, kind of like technical. So you also learn a little bit of theory, but they basically prepare you to work. Like you are being prepared to just finish your course and then, incorporate straight away to the workforce. So in that sense, I think one of the difference that TAFEs have is that they're from the government, like they are promoted and subsidized by the government, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So with vocational like colleges, there's only one government run and operated one here, and that's TasTAFE. So like the entire purpose of TasTAFE is to get like people ready to take jobs here in Tasmania. So like the courses that we teach, like the skills that the students learn they're being taught that so that they can take the jobs that we need people to take here in Tasmania. Things like the engineering, the cookery and hospitality and tourism, the courses that we offer really like are tailored to what the state actually needs right now. But like that's good for the student because it means they're getting the skills that will get them a job as soon as they graduate. So it's like, it's good for everybody.
And mingle with other natives, because one of the things that I think it's also an advantage is that TAFEs are basically targeting local students because they will, of course, stay in Australia and develop the country and everything. So the fact that you have mainly native locals studying in TAFE is also very beneficial for international students, because they will be the minority and they will actually get to know how the country works. So that's very, very good.
Yeah, and I think it's a good chance to learn. I think that people will develop their English faster, for example, in an environment like that, but also, like the cultural sort of understanding that you get, because things like that are really valuable when you applying for a job in Australia is probably a little bit different to applying for a job in the student's home country. So I guess having that experience of like mingling with local people all the time in the classroom and everything, that's going to be really helpful when they are in an interview like this, where they're sitting across the table from a manager and that guy wants to know why should he hire me, and you have to be able to sort of like understand and be able to communicate on that level. And I think that's a really valuable thing.
Yeah, that's a plus that the students have, not only by coming to Australia, but also studying in a TAFE, because that's I think that's one of the main things for me. If I were a student, I would probably choose well, my sister chose a TAFE here in Australia, in cool. Melbourne. Unfortunately, we didn't know about TasTAFE at the time, but but she's actually very happy with the TAFE system. She's very happy. So that's something good, because many students can just now look at TasTAFE and think, oh, it's giving me more, not just the course, but it's giving me other advantages that maybe other schools can't. So that's very good. So thank you, Paco, for your question that I was part actually of our topics. But now good that question. We're talking, good following of the conversation. But now, in terms of the courses that TasTAFE offers, because at the moment now you're back in campus and everything. So right now, are you doing all classes face-to-face, or are you still doing some online lessons?
Yeah, pretty much face-to-face for all of the courses. There's some online lessons, but yeah, mostly we're fully back in the classroom right now. But yeah, I mean, when we did have a COVID outbreak here, which is now completely under control, but at the time we transitioned to online teaching and online learning. And that means that we sort of like developed the capacity to do that. So if there was another problem again, like in the future, we can just go back to doing that. But yeah, I mean, it's because, vocational education is practical. Like you learn by doing things as well as by studying. So, it's important to be here in the classroom so that you can actually learn.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it's already under control, I think the best is just to go back and hit the classroom as soon as you can, because yeah, definitely we had enough of online education right now. It's funny because we always thought, at least maybe this is personal, but I always thought that online classes would be like, the future. But I think this pandemic proved that we're not that ready, and we don't necessarily prefer it. Like, we don't necessarily like it.
It's kind of like working from home for you and me. I prefer being here in the office.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know it.
I've never valued the office so much, but I realized I love it.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be happy, like, yay, I don't have to commute and I don't have, Yeah. But now it's like, no, please take me out. Like, please, I need to go to the office. I need to talk to people. I need to go for my coffee. I need to, get ideas from people. So yeah, definitely, I think we are valuing more the human contact more than ever.
Yeah, I was working from home for a few months, and it's okay. Like, it's kind of fun for the first couple of weeks, and then I hope to...
Exactly.
It's so much better to be in the classroom or in the workplace, like physically. I think I'm better at my job if I'm here. And I think students are better at learning when they're in the classroom as well.
Yeah, of course. Look, we never know, and this thing is quite unpredictable. So I don't know, hopefully not, but we have to be prepared that if there's a second wave or a third wave or a new pandemic, well, now we know how to handle it, I guess. So hopefully. But now, Tom, please, let's continue with a nice information, not about the pandemic. So TasTAFE also has great partnerships and pathways for students that want to move on to higher education, right? Like, how about that?
Yeah, so here in Tasmania, we have the University of Tasmania as well, which is like a really, really renowned university. I think it's in the top 2% of universities worldwide, which is really good. I went there when I was, younger.
You're still young. You're still very young.
Thank you. But so we have a pathway from most of our courses to the university. So like in many cases, the student can actually complete like a bachelor's degree in the same amount of time. So 3 years or 4 years, maybe. So it's a similar amount of time to if they went directly to university, but they'll get 2 qualifications by starting at TasTAFE. So they'll study here and get like the diploma, which is the vocational qualification, and then progress to university, but get course credit. So it's actually like it costs less for the student because the vocational study is much cheaper than the university studies. So if you do half of your course at TasTAFE and half of the course at university, you've saved some money. But also, you get the practical skills that would help you to get like a part-time job here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like while you're still studying at university. And then, I guess like what else? Like you can start at a lower English level as well. So for the IELTS, well, like the English requirement for TasTAFE is for most of our courses, IELTS 5.5. I think maybe
it's like upper intermediate level, sort of.
Yeah. I mean, where we can provide an English test to students online if they don't already know what their score is. But I mean, anyway, so 5.5 here, but it's higher than that at university. It's normally 6 or 6.5. So you can begin at TasTAFE with a lower score, and then by the time you reach university, you'll have no problem with that as well. So,
is it automatic? Like they can move from the vet course straight to the higher education once they finish?
Yeah,
provided they are satisfactory, of course. Like,
of course, yeah. So there's 2 ways you can do it. If the student is really organized, they can apply for both at the same time, and they will get an offer from both at the same time. So we'll make an offer to study at TasTAFE, and the university will make an offer saying, once you finish at TasTAFE, you can start with us halfway through the degree course.
Which is like the condition, right? Like a conditional offer.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what so that's our main thing that we do with these courses. Like we can package it together so it's easy for the student. But if the student maybe studies at TasTAFE and then decides they want to go to university, they can still do that. But they'll need to apply like separately, but they should still be able to get their course at TasTAFE recognized so that they can complete their degree, in 1 less year or 2 less years.
Yeah, and something also I forgot to mention is that all the vet courses, well, not all, but the ones that have a specific code, I don't remember exactly which one is, but it's an Australian recognized qualification. So for example, if you graduate from, I don't know, let's say nursing, no, like you do the diploma of nursing, it's the same sort of diploma that you will have in another state. So exactly. In that sense, you can study in Tasmania, and then whatever happens, if you get an offer, I don't know, in Victoria or New South Wales or Queensland, your qualification will be recognized as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like anywhere in Australia. And even because it's the government like qualification, you've studied at a government institution, even in another country, they would probably recognize that too. But I mean, like, so if someone has a qualification from TAFE in Victoria, in Melbourne, they can come here and it's going to be recognized, no problem. And same thing, if someone comes here and studies and then goes to Sydney or Melbourne or somewhere else, no problem. The employer will go. Looks pretty good.
Okay, good. Excellent. We have another question from Paco. He says, if I am a professional, I think he means that he has a bachelor already and like a professional career. Mm-hmm. What if I want to start a new career? Would I have access to TAFE? Yeah.
Totally. Yep. That's what a lot of people do. That's great.
Yeah, actually, if you can change your career, you can start by a certificate or a diploma or something, because they will give you the foundations to start a new career.
Exactly. Yeah. And like we think of sort of a vocational education as really getting you started here in Australia with the skills you need to work to get a job and everything. And then you always have the option of doing further university study if you want to. But then if Paco has a qualification from his home country, then maybe he doesn't even need to do that. He just needs to come and get an Australian qualification to start working here. So yeah, I mean, that's very common. I would say yes.
Like, go for it. Go for
Yeah.
it. Okay. Now we're almost finishing because yeah, we're over the 40 minutes. But in terms of the work placements, because you were talking about also helping students getting jobs, but that's one thing. Apart from that, while they're studying, they also have sometimes work placements, because of course vet courses are about practicing and preparing you to work. So how does TasTAFE work or manage the work placements?
Yeah, so it's really important. Most of the courses have a work placement as part of the course. So the students will complete like part of their study working in a business here in Tasmania, or something like that, going to give them that experience. And that's really valuable. And that's something that also makes TAFE different to university, because university is a lot of study and theory and everything, but really not that much practical experience at university. Whereas with TAFE, you will get the work placement so that you can like make connections, you can learn, what it's actually like to do the job, and all of these things that are really important when you're, at a job interview, for example, or if you're trying to figure out what you actually want to do. Yeah, all of these things, it's really important. Yeah, so most of the courses, that's part of the course, and every student will get that.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the benefits of vet courses is also getting that practical experience, because sometimes it's just very hard to find a professional job on your own while you get, when you get to a new country. It doesn't matter if it's Australia, if it's, I don't know, New Zealand, Canada, whatever. It's just hard because you don't have the networking, you don't have probably the cultural skills yet. You haven't met many people. So in that sense, it's very good to take a vet course, because they will help you with the work placement as well. So you can have the two things, like theory and the practical, and you don't even have to worry where, because the school will find it for you. So
yeah, and
right.
actually, maybe I'll add as well that so our international student advisors, these are like our support team for international students. They'll help like connect students with job opportunities and things like that as well. So if a student, yeah, it's certainly not like a guarantee of like they'll find you a job, but they'll help you.
But it's like that help that you sometimes need, no? Like
like to find the opportunities, but then also to prepare for it as well. So they'll sit here like this, and go through like an interview,
like a simulation.
Yeah,
like a drill, so you can actually make mistakes in that one instead of the real one. Exactly. And get some feedback as well, so that's good. Right, okay, that's very good. And also, well, we're just about to finish, as I said, so I would like just add something about well, I'm not going to talk about prices, because guys, if you want to know how much it costs, it depends on the course, depends on the length of the course, many things. So it's not just like giving you a price. But are there any promotions at the moment? Like, is there any help for Latin students at the moment, or isn't it?
Yeah, totally. So we have two things I think that are relevant to your students. So if they want to study English, we have a 25% discount on our general English course for Latin American students particularly. So yeah, so it's $210 per week instead of $280. So
that's great.
Yeah, and then the other thing is for like certificate and diploma courses, so like the vocational study, they can get a $1,000 scholarship on those as well. They'll need to apply for that, and it's only open, I think, for applications for like 1 more month. So they probably want to be quick if they want to get that one.
Yes, if you guys want to study in Tasmania, even if you're unsure and you want to go, well, the thing, I have a good question actually, because for example, what if I have someone here in Victoria that wants to go to, but they can't go because of the restrictions? Can they start studying online?
No, so they do need to be here.
They have to be physically there.
Yeah, but the choice is really to defer to the next intake. So because we have the February intake and the July intake, so if they apply for February and they, for some reason, they're not able to arrive, that's okay. We can defer it for 4 months until the July intake. And
which is still
free
fine.
Everything like that.
Yeah, because maybe by February it will be fine. Like they can already move. But for the scholarship, is this month, so they have to apply this month.
Yeah, so I mean, you only have to apply, and then you can start like
in February or
like any intake in 2021. Or I think even 2022. If the student wanted to apply now, they could potentially lock in the scholarship, but not start until like 2 years later.
That's amazing. So let me say this in Spanish. Si ustedes quieren estudiar en Tasmania, está buenísimo porque tienen la promoción de una beca de $1,000 que, bueno, está hasta este mes. Tienen que hacer la reservación o la aplicación este mes, en septiembre. Y ustedes pueden decidir si quieren estudiar en febrero del próximo año o en el 2022 incluso. Entonces está muy bueno. Si quieren estudiar en Tasmania, aprovechen. Y también para el inglés. Yeah, sorry, did you get something?
Yeah, I think I understood about half of that. I'm very glad that we're having this discussion in English. Probably
I'm doing my best.
but yeah, so like you're exactly right. Like that one's like as long as they apply, I think it's the 31st of October is the final date they can apply. But for the English promotion, that one is just ongoing. So there's no deadline for that one. They can just apply anytime.
Cool. So, entonces, para el inglés no hay deadline, o sea que no se preocupen, eso va a seguir. Pero para la beca de $1,000 sí puede ser que hasta el próximo mes, o sea, el 31 de octubre. Done. The Spanish announcement. Okay, Tom, I think we covered pretty much everything. Let me check if I have another question, because I have many people saying hi. Yeah, lots of people saying hi. I have one here, but it's not related to studies. It's about what recommendations do you have to visit in Tasmania or in Hobart? Like art galleries, museums.
Oh, like things to do, like
things to do.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, if they're into like art galleries and museums, for sure, there's a couple of really good ones. There's a lot of like good bars and nightlife and that type of thing, like nice cafes. It depends what they're really into. If the student wants to do like if the person's keen to do outdoorsy stuff, then Hobart's really good. Like I do a lot of mountain biking and hiking and surfing and that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, they can go to the beach, they can go up in the mountains. Like it really depends what they want to do. But yeah, like I think Hobart's a place where there is a lot of options and you can try out lots of different things, which in itself is cool, because you don't need to come here just for that one particular thing you're into. There's lots of different things you can try that, you know, are very easy when you're living here. It's like very close.
And it's actually not expensive, I remember, because it was pretty affordable. But I think they were talking about art galleries. I remember just going to the where was that? No, it was the Museum of Tasmania.
Yeah.
That is free, and it was very cool. And I didn't go to any other. I just went to those two.
Yeah, so you went to Mona.
Mona and the Museum of Tasmania.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to any galleries. Is there any that you can recommend?
I don't go to many galleries actually, so I'm not sure what their names are. But
sorry, this question wasn't in the topics. It's my fault.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for this one. No, my mother is like she paints. She's a very good painter, and so she has like her art in some exhibitions sometimes in galleries and things. So I know that there is many galleries around, but I don't know like what they're called. I'm sorry.
Don't worry. I'm gonna prepare an article on that. I can make a blog post about that. We can prepare it with your mom.
Yeah, but
she can tell us.
You're like, if the person who's interested, you should look up Mona, M-O-N-A.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like world famous. People come from all over the world to come and see. It's pretty weird, but it's super cool.
Yeah, it literally, I think it leaves you with a kind of like, I don't know, I felt not disturbed. I don't know what the word is. It's like,
it's a real experience, isn't it? It's
it's like a different experience. Definitely, I've never been to something like that.
Yeah, and I think that's
very sensorial. I don't know.
Yeah, and like I think they really try to like confront you, like challenge you a little bit.
Yes.
It's not what you're expecting. It's always.
Yeah, I think the word is confronting. It's not disturbing. It's like, it's confronting. It's like, you see
it
so
makes
many.
You stop and think, and
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was very good. Not easy to digest, but then, you know, when I think about it, it's like, wow, I really have to go again. It's one of those things that I think you have to do more than once.
I've been a few times, and it changes quite often. Like every few months, there's a new, new exhibitions and things. So it's cool.
Oh, good. I'm gonna go. Oh, hang on. We have a comment about that. Paco, by the way, he says, I didn't like the poo machine. I didn't like it either, to be honest. Well, I don't know. I didn't know, but I respect the amazing effort.
It's one of those things. I don't think you're supposed to like it.
I think it's kind of that disturbed. I don't know. Like, it's confronting. It's like, I didn't know what to think, to be honest. I was just like, can I get out of here? Thank you, Paco. Thank you for your participation. Very valuable. Okay. Thank you so much, Tom. I think we're done. We don't have any more questions, so we can leave it there. But I really, really appreciate you giving us this time and answering all these questions and giving all those information. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. My pleasure. It's been fun.
Yeah, hopefully we have many students coming in the next months. So we'll be in touch. Well, I will be in touch with you, but also I hope many students can get in touch with me so they can also go to Hobart and talk to you soon.
Yeah, of course. I hope so too, because I think it's a really good opportunity, and like students just need to think about, like, look at all of their different options and really sort of evaluate, because maybe like just thinking about the first option, like maybe Melbourne or Sydney is everyone's like first thing they think of. There's other options as well, and I'd really encourage everyone to think about it a bit more and kind of really think what they want.
I agree. I agree, because it could be a very good surprise. It could be something really good and different, I would say.
Definitely.
All right, Tom, thank you so much. I'm going to cut the live stream, and then I'm going to say goodbye to you, so don't leave me. But thank you, everyone, for joining the live on Facebook. And this is in Spanish, by the way. Si tienen alguna duda, por favor, contáctenme. Estoy aquí para darles toda la información de TasTAFE. Entonces, si tienen interés en algún curso o solamente quieren saber un poquito más de Tasmania, de Hobart, por favor, escríbanme o mándenme un WhatsApp. Y ya saben que por ahí ando. Me tardo, pero ahí ando. Ok, cuídense mucho. Thank you, Tom. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.